this chapter, we will mainly talk about C standard library functions that facilitate strings and character processing. Okay, so in these libraries, there are many functions that allow us to process characters, strings, text, block of memory. Okay, so I mean, even in the block of memories, there are many strings or characters which are written. When we do file handling, we need, these functions to read from file, to do some processing, to check, to check some properties of the strings or characters. Okay, something like that. So we will discuss in this chapter about all such standard libraries that are available in C, which allow us to deal with um, strings, okay, or characters. Now, in this chapter, we will also discuss the techniques through which you can. So, in the beginning, we discussed that C is very powerful language. Even the editors, word processors, many strong softwares, many complex softwares are developed using C. Okay, so we will see what are these functions that actually allow to do all those things. Okay. There are only two input output functions that we have seen till now, that is printf and scanf. Printf is used to print characters or screen strings on the screen, and scanf is used to read those things from the screen, right? Now let's see what are the fundamentals of strings and characters. So characters, if we talk about, is are the building blocks of any source program, right? Whenever we write program, it is nothing but a sequence of characters. Okay, we write it in a particular way so that they will become meaningful and they will actually become the instruction for the computer, right? So even if you write int, this is a sequence of characters, but this has some special meaning in our C program. So characters are the building blocks. A program may contain character constants. This we have seen. We have seen many character constants, right? So we have seen that x equal to z, right? So what is this? This is a character constant. Okay. The value is same. So what is character constant actually inside the computer? So the character constant is a integer value represented as a character in the single quotes. Okay, so you have to now think from the point of view of computer. Actually, in computer there is no such thing like characters. Everything is actually some sort of numbers, some sort of digits, some sort of values. So when we talk about character constant, they are nothing but some sort of integer value that represent that character constant. Okay. Similarly, the value of character constant is the integer value of character in the machine character set. So if we talk about, so let's see the example actually, right? So we talked about small z. The value of a small z in computer is 122. Okay, so this 122 is machine character set, machine's character set. Okay, so for capital A it start with 65. Okay, for a small a, I think it start with 96 or 90, 5, something like that. Yeah, 96 actually, right? So these are the machine character sets. And even if all these symbols, like for example /n, which we read it as a new line, there is this value, integer value 10, which is reserved for this. Okay, so in computer these are machine character set, and anything you write, it will actually get converted into its respective value. And this value are known as ASCII code. We have seen ASCII code before also when we have learned about number system. So yes, so this is a ASCII code. Now, so this, whatever we talked about is about character, right? Now, what is a string? A string is a series of character that is treated as a single unit. This is a single character, and if we write this, this is a string. Okay, a series of character which is treated as a single unit. Now, a string may include letters, digits, various special characters such as plus, minus, all these special symbols. Okay, so these are also included in the string. We can write letters also. If you write letters into quotes, these is actually considered as a string. Okay, so digits also included, special characters. Okay, now the only difference is when you write string literals, you have to put double quotes. When we are writing character, we can write it into single quotes, but whenever you are talking about strings, you have in C you have to write it into double quotes. Okay, so this is the thing you have to keep in mind. String constants or string literals, you have to mark it into double quotes. Okay, now there is one more property of string that when we end the string. Okay, so how string will get stored in the memory? It is nothing but the array of characters. Okay, and it actually ends with null character. Okay, so when we write zebra, right, so it has 5 characters, but C compiler will reserve 6 location for this particular thing. So last is for string termination character or null character. Okay, so you can consider string as a pointer to the first character of the string. Okay, and the value of string is again the address of this first character. Okay, whatever is the address of this character, it will become the value of the string. So in C we can say string is nothing but string is a pointer of which type? Character array. Okay, so strings are and arrays are very similar to each other, right? Because array is also a pointer to the first element and a string is also a pointer to the first element. The only difference is in strings we can only write characters. However, in arrays, array can be of different types. Okay, it could be integer type, double type, float type, but strings are actually character type arrays. Okay, now a character array or a variable of type char pointer can be initialized with a string in a definition. So let's see. Whenever we have to define a string, right, either we can do it in this way. This is an array of characters. We have seen this way many times. Another way is this. You can make a pointer, okay, which is actually pointing to a string. Each initialize a variable to string blue. Okay, the first definition create 5 element array because there are 4 letters, right? It is a character array, so BLUE, and there is this null character. And what is second definition? Second definition is actually a pointer variable that points to a string blue somewhere in the memory. Okay, so color PTR, this is nothing, so blue is stored somewhere and this is pointing to that blue or the first character of the string. Okay, so both ways are allowed. We are allowed to use any of these ways. Now, when a variable of type char star is initialized with a string literal, some compiler may place the string in a location where it cannot be modified. Okay, so if you want, if you need to modify a string literal, it should be stored in the character array. If you make a pointer, there are some compilers who will make it a constant. You cannot change the value of that. Okay, so I mean, it is said that if you some changes are required in the string, then go for character array type definition. If no changes are required, you can go for pointer type definition. even the character type definition, you can write constant in the beginning to make it a constant. Okay. All right. So yes, so this definition can be written into this way also, right? Instead of writing char color equal to blue, you can write it in this way also. Both are equivalent. Both are actually doing the same thing. They are reserving continuous memory location and storing all these 5 characters there. And color is pointing to the first memory location of the string. Okay. All right. So when defining a character array to contain a string, the array must be large enough to store the string and its terminating null character. Okay, so now this is important. Many times people forget to leave a space for this null character. And if you don't store this null character, and if you don't leave the space for this null character, then there will be a compilation error actually. Okay. So in this type of definition, there is no problem, right? Size is not defined. So automatically null character is assigned. But, let's see some example where this is not the case. Yeah. So suppose we are scanf, we are taking input from users. Okay. And we have make a character array of size, uh, sorry, 20. Okay, now we are taking input from user. To take input from user, what you have to write? You have to write %s because we would like to insert string. Okay, we will not put n% here. Why? Any reason?
Ma'am, because it is an
मैम
array.
एरे किधर हो गया ना प्लीज.
Right, word is actually the address of the memory location, right? So there is no need to put this n% sign. So in this way, you will actually read input from user. The problem in this is it may happen that the user will give some input of say size 20. Okay. And if this is the case, there is no space for null character. And if there is no space for null character, you will get an error. Okay. So while doing scanf or while, doing any operation where the input size is not fixed, okay, please make sure that there is a space for null character. Otherwise, you will get error. Okay. All right. And even if you print a string that does not contain a terminating null character, then also it is an error. Whether you are taking input from the user or you are printing anything to the screen without null character, it will be an error because compiler don't know where to stop. Everything is character, like everything is equivalent for uh, compiler, right? So there should be some way to determine that now this is the end of this string, which is determined by this symbol null character. Okay. And therefore if a compiler does not find it, it is a compilation error. Okay. So this is error prevention tip. When you store a string of characters in a character array, be sure that the array is large enough to hold the largest string that can be stored. Okay. C allows strings of any length to be stored. If a string is longer than the character array in which it is stored, character beyond the end of the array will override data in the memory. Okay. And this is called buffer overflow. If you declare the array of size 20 and you are inserting the characters of, say, 25, okay, then what happen? It will actually override the things which are, so suppose in the memory, you get space only till here, and this space is actually reserved for somebody else. What your program will do is your program will actually override these things, and this generally happens in C. Okay, and when you learn about computer security, you will learn buffer overflow attacks. There are many attacks which are possible through C language, okay, which allow us to read the memory content of other programs as well. Okay, and that is happen only because of the size mismatch. You have reserved little less space, but you are giving input for larger space. Okay, so please keep in mind that this will not happen. All right, now how to prevent this thing actually? Okay, how to restrict the user, that the user will input only characters till whatever limit we have given. Okay, so for that you can use actually this string conversion specifier. Okay, we have seen this, so now you can see the use of a good use of, it is not only for the formatting purpose, but actually it will restrict the user from entering characters more than 19 length. Okay, so if the size of this array is 20, we want user to insert only 19 character maximum, because after that compiler will put that null character and we are done. Okay, so if you simply write this, then restricting user from inserting more characters. But if instead of %s you write %19s, then what happen? Then somehow on the screen the user will start typing, and it can type only 19 characters. After that, it it is not allowed to type any more character, and in this way we will somehow enforce the restriction to insert only limited number of characters depending upon the size of our character array. Are you following me here?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So whenever you do operations with strings, please make sure to mention this conversion specifiers. Okay. So this prevents scanf from writing characters into memory beyond the limit, right? Now here we are restricting. Now you may ask that is there any way in which we can read actually any length of string from the user? I mean, I don't know what is the maximum length of the string the user will input. So yes, there is a way, but it is not the standard library function. The function is read line. This is not standard library function, but this is widely used. Okay, and it is included in stdio.h. So when we learn about file operations, right, file handling, we will see read line operation, read line function. Okay, so read line allow us to read any length of line, but for now we will use a scanf, and with scanf you have to mention the conversion specifier in order to maintain the count of input characters. Okay, all right. So now let's talk about a programming error which could be possible. So if you process a single character as a string, okay, you mentioned that I am having a string, say string, and string 1 maybe. Okay, and inside this you are writing a. You will say this is also a string, right? A and null character, just write it. So if you process a single character as a string, you will get an error. Okay, and the reason is the character is having a small integer value, right? So for example, a is having only 65 integer value, but when we talk about string, definitely it is a collection of character, its value is larger, right? So many systems cause an error because low memory address are reserved for special purposes, and you try to go there, you will get an error. Okay, So both the cases are not possible. If in the character you store string, error. If in the string you store only character, again error. Okay. So string, you have to treat it like string. Character, you have to treat it like character. Okay. Also, passing a character as an argument to a function where a string is expected, or vice versa, will give you a compilation error. Although you can say that, ma'am, string is a sequence of characters only. Yes, this is true, but they are different. Okay, character is a single character which is having very small ASCII values, whereas a string is a collection of characters with the null character in the end. Okay, so you have to keep these things in mind. Okay, now let's talk about an important library which will actually allow you to do processing with strings or characters for the sake of now. So it is ctype.h library. We have somehow seen a little bit use of this library, but now in detail, let's talk about this. So this is a character handling library, standard C library. It has several functions that can actually perform test and manipulations. Okay, test means it will actually check the properties of the character, and can do some manipulations on the character data. Now we will see many functions in this. Each function receive an unsigned character. Okay, unsigned. Why I'm saying unsigned character? Because character does not have sign, so they are represented by unsigned integer value, or end of file as an argument. Only this end of file argument EOF has value -1. Okay, otherwise all the other characters have positive values, right? So let's talk about these functions in detail. So these are the prototypes of the function. The first function is blank. Now what is blank will do? Whenever you pass a character into it, it will actually let you know whether the character is blank or not. Okay, so it returns a true value if C is a blank character. If not, it will return false. Then there is digit. If whatever you pass, that character is a digit, it will return true. Otherwise, it will return false. Similarly, it will check for alpha. Is alpha. If the character is an alphabet or a letter, it will return true, otherwise false. Is alphanumeric. So alphanumeric is the combination of these two. Okay. If the argument that you have passed have digits and alphabets, it will return true. Otherwise, it will return false. Then there is a function x digit that is known as hexadecimal digit. So if there are hexadecimal digits A to F, 0 to 9, if the character lies within these limits, it will return true, otherwise it will return false. Okay, so and there is these two function, is lower and is upper. If the character is in lower case, true, otherwise false. If the character is in upper case, then true, otherwise false. Okay, so all these are test functions. Whenever we are checking is this, then it will either return true or false. Right, now there are some manipulation functions, two lower, which will actually convert the given character into lowercase if it is not into lowercase. Similarly, two upper will convert the function into uppercase. Okay, then we have again some test function, whether this is a space, whether this is a control character, whether this is a punctuation mark. Okay, whether this is a printable character, whether this is a graphical character, something like that. Okay, so let's talk about all these functions in detail. And please remember, all these functions are mentioned into ctype.h library. So whenever we make program, you have to import this library, you have to include this library. Okay. All right. So now let's see first these four functions. Is digit, is alphanumeric, or is hexadecimal digit? Okay. Now function is digit determine whether the argument is from 0 to 9. Is alpha is alphabet or not? So alphabets are A to Z in capital, A to Z in small. Is alphanumeric covers both. Okay, whether they are from between 0 to 9, capital A to Z, or small a to Z. And is hexadecimal, as I mentioned, A to F, 0 to 9, and small a to F. Okay, now let's see the program, and the things will be more clear to you. Now have a look at this program very closely. We have included stdio.h because we are using printf function. We have also included C type because we are using is digit, is alpha, and all those functions which are actually defined in C type library. Okay. Now, what we are printing here is this. So first of all, there is a percentage. Okay. This percentage is referred to this. Okay. So what will get printed on the screen? According to is digit. Done. Right. Then we have a new line. So we will come here. Then we have a percentage. Now what this percentage is doing, what is the next thing to look at? Now this is the next thing, right? If you remember, this is the trinary operator. Remember what this operator will do? What this operator will do?
Check the condition.
Looks like the files.
Sorry, what it will do?
It will first check the condition. If
What,
it is true, then it
whatever is
will
the
print first, and if it is false, then it will print the second.
right, right. So in this way we have written, if is digit will return true. Okay, we will print this second argument. If is digit is false, we will print the third argument. Okay, so in this there are actually three operands, and the first operand will always execute, and based on the output of this operand, we will either execute the second operand or the third operand, right? So is digit 8, whether it is true, yes or no? Okay, so it will actually return true because 8 is a digit. Okay, and this is what the function will do. Since it is true, we will print 8 is a. 8 is a. Okay, that's it. Now, so we actually covered till here, till the percentage, second percentage, right? Now there is again another percentage which will print digit. It is a digit. Okay, then there is a new line, so we will come to new line. Then we have a percentage, and here again there is this condition, is this true or false? So this is false, this is not a digit, so we will print this line, hash is not a, and then we will come to next percentage which will actually print digit. Okay, any question in this? Are you getting my point? How we are printing? And then there is two slash n, right? So we will come at this point. Now next printing will be done from here, and this is the output of the first printf. Okay, so let me show you the output. This is the output of the first printf. Okay, so now again and again I will not show you this printf function. I have shown you for once. Now accordingly you can manipulate it. So the point here I would like to mention is, if inside this you will pass anything from 0 to 9, then the is digit will give you true, otherwise it will give you false. This is a punctuation mark, therefore it is giving us false. Okay. Similarly, is alpha function, what it will do if the number are alphabets. Okay. So can you tell me what are the what will get printed by this printf statement? According to is alpha, what will get printed by this?
A is a letter.
A is a letter.
A is a
A,
letter.
right. Same for B. B is a letter. But when we print n% is not a letter,
No.
right? So n% is not a letter, and 4 is also not a letter. So is alpha only works for A to Z and A to small z. That's it. Okay. So let's see the output. All right. Now is alphanumeric, right? Alphanumeric covers both. So this will also, A is alphanumeric character. 8 is also alphanumeric character because digits are also included in alphanumeric, right? And hashtag is a punctuation mark. So for hash, this is actually will print, no, this is not a digit or a letter, right? And for hexadecimal, so you can use it like this whenever you pass something here. If it lies between, the range A to F, small a to F, or 0 to 9, then it is a hexadecimal character, otherwise not. Okay, so depending upon the range, you will get the print messages. Right? So this is how all these functions can be used. Okay, so yes. Now let's see is lower and is upper and two lower and two upper. So is lower and is upper will actually return true or false, whether the character is in lowercase or in uppercase. Whereas two lower and two upper will convert it into lower and uppercase respectively. Right? So lowercase small letters, uppercase capital letters. Okay, that you all know. Function to lower converts uppercase letter to lowercase letter and return that lowercase letter. If the letter is already in the lowercase, it will return it as it is. Okay, and same true for to upper. All right, let's see the example. So according to is lower, this is a lower, small p is a lower. So this will return true, but this will return false. Okay, let's see the output. For small p is a lowercase letter, capital P is not a lowercase letter. Right. Now, what is the output of this?
Not A.
Not A, because this is not a lower letter. So since we are talking about letter, it should be by default alphabets also, right? So for both of this, they are not letter, not a lowercase letter. Okay. Same applies with uppercase also. Now let's see how we can convert it. So if you want to convert it, so small u is converted to uppercase, and we have done it using this function. Okay. So this function will actually print. Now is will always return true or false, but two lower and two upper will actually print, by converting this character. So to upper will actually print capital U like this. To upper 7 will print 7 as it is. Okay, because nothing to convert. Similarly, any other thing, if you write, it will not convert. If you write capital letter, it and you mention two lower, then this will be converted into small letter. Okay. So whenever you are making use of some sort of program, whenever you are building program, you want things to be in a specific format. Suppose you want that user should insert everything in the capital letter, or even if he will not insert it, you will convert it into capital letter or small letter. you can use all these functions. Okay. Any question till here? Yes, no?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now let's see some more function. Space is space, is control, is punctuation, is print, and is graph. Okay, these are the 5 more functions that are there in the C type library. So what is space is doing is space will check for this given white space character. Okay, see, space could be anything. It could be a single space that we actually press space bar and the space is created. It could be a tab. Okay, when we press tab, there are maybe 4 spaces or many more spaces. When we press new line, then also there is a space, right? Whenever there is a forward feed means you maybe you press 2 tabs, or you specify that this many characters I have to, this many blanks I have to leave, something like that. Okay, that can be done by this symbol. um, Even a vertical tab. Okay, even a vertical tab. So we write something here and then we left some space, some vertical tab here. Okay, so all these are counted as an space, right? So what are the space? A simple space, forward feed, new line, carriage return, that is enter sign. Okay, horizontal tab or vertical tab. If any of these characters are given in an input, is space will return true, otherwise it will return false. Okay. Is control, so there are some control characters like tab. Okay, so tab is considered as space also and control character also. Similarly, vertical tab, forward feed, alert. Now this is important. Alert is a control character. Okay, whenever you want to give some signal to the program that a beep will whenever user enter some unwanted number, a beep will come. Okay, something like that. So these are the control characters that can be used. Then backspaces, again new carriage return, the enter sign, new line, all these are control statements. We are actually controlling the format of the program, right? So these are also counted as control characters. So if any character among this we pass in is control function, it will return true, otherwise it will return false. Similarly is punctuation. So if these are the punctuations marks, so except space, digit, letter, whatever else you write, all the space characters you just leave, all the digits you leave, letters you leave, all the remaining things are considered in the punctuation mark. Okay, so if you entered any of these things, is punctuation will return true, otherwise it will return false. Now there is this function is print. Is print determine whether a character can be displayed on the screen or not displayed on the screen? If the character is displayed on the screen, it will return true. Otherwise, it will return false. Okay, and space is considered in the printing function. We can display space on the screen. Now, what is graph? Is graph is same as is print, except the space character. Okay, so if we talked about is graph, then space should not be included. Let's see the program, then the things will be more clear. So here is the use of is space function again. So is space new line, this will return true or false.
True.
True.
Tab is also a space. Percent is not a space. Okay. Similarly, control and slash n is a control character, but dollar is not a control character. This is a punctuation, right? This is a punctuation. This is not a punctuation. This is a punctuation. So depending upon, whether now is print and is graph is important. Maybe you have some doubts related to this. See, this is a printable character, but alert is not a printable character. This will actually generate a sound. You cannot print it. Okay. So any such characters which are not printable, is print will return false for that. Right. Similarly, is graph function, everything is true for is graph, but there are something like space, alerts, many other characters that you will learn about when we proceed further. Okay. Any question?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Yes, no.
No, ma'am.
Okay. So all these functions here, this is the use of C type.h library. Okay. So in our next programming assignments, maybe you will get questions related to string manipulations, and there now you can use C type library with very prominently. Okay, everything you are doing, try to make use of C type library. All right.
मैम
Now
एक
there
बार
are
मैम
some
इस
string conversion.
कंट्रोल इस कंट्रोल वाला फंक्शन बता दीजिए मैम एक और.
So these are is control. All these are considered as is control. Tab, vertical tab, forward feed, alert, backspace, carriage return, new line. All these are control characters. These are fixed actually, right?
ओके मैम.
Okay. From this actually we can control the positioning and all of the characters, right? Okay. So now let's see something about string conversion function. So string conversion functions are mentioned in stdlib.h. Okay. So these functions, what they are main responsible for, they are responsible for converting the string of digit to integer and floating point values. Okay. So if we insert 10, this can be converted into decimal or double or float or something like that. Okay. So obviously ABCD cannot be converted, right? So string conversion function will work on string of digits, and they get converted into specific type, either integer or some floating point values. Now there are few functions like string to long. So we read it like this: string to ll. String convert, this is conversion, right? So string to long int, string to unsigned long int. Okay. So